139 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Darby Allman.
And I'm Jeff Mayo.
And this is a gaming podcast that comes every week. You can put it in your ears and your eyes. And when science catches up, your mouth. What would the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast taste like, Jeff?
I don't know. Chicken.
Sweet and spicy.
Sweet
which
and
is the sweet, which is the spicy? You gotta find out. How you doing, Jeff?
Pretty good, Dirt. How about you?
I am doing all right. We have a lot of gaming news to get through today. We have been rewarded for our patience as far as putting this podcast out. We did skip last week because we're slackers, but the gaming gods have graced us with many a story this week, and I'm very excited to get to. But before we get to that, have some housekeeping, and really the only thing that I need to tell you about is there's a little game, tiny little indie game called Final Fantasy VII Remake that came out, and that we may or may not have put many hours into in a very short amount of time. And then we called over Chad from Respawn Aim Fire, who's a pretty cool dude. I think he's all right. Yeah. We called him over and we did a spoiler cast with him. We did an hour and like 40 something minute long spoiler cast. I'm honestly surprised it wasn't longer.
Me too.
Maybe it's because we also did a full hour just me and Jeff talking about the ending, which you can also find on YouTube and on the Nerds at Large Gaming podcast feed. Maybe it's because we, did that. So technically, it's more like two and a half hours.
And will we talk about the game more at the end of this podcast?
Yes, we will. Yeah. And will I continue to talk about this until I'm in my grave? Yes, I will.
Yes.
But you can go find that Nerds at Large Spoilercast on our Nerds at Large Spoilercast podcast feed, or on YouTube at youtube.com/nerdsatlarge. And go give that a listen. It was a really good time. Full spoilers, though, for Remake and for the original FF7. So be wary, Yeah. But that is a good time. But with that out of the way, let's get into our opening segment, which is Quarantine Rex. Is the air horn for everything, because I know no other jingle to... unless you can think of a quarantine jingle before next week, but
okay.
we'll figure.
I'll try to put something together.
Okay.
Odds are I will forget by the time we're done with the segment.
Me too. And it'll probably be an air horn again next week.
Yeah.
So every week, while this hellscape quarantine is going on, me and Jeff are going to present to you each week one game that we recommend you visit during this quarantine time. And both of us can decide our individual reasons for bringing it. It's some game that you might have in your backlog, or maybe you've never even heard of, that would be a good fit to play while you're stuck at home during all this. Whether it's like good vibes, it'll give you a long time to play, a lot of like distraction time, or whatever else. Last week, Jeff chose Psychonauts, and I chose Shantae Half Genie Hero. Both very good choices.
Yes.
And this week, we have two more games. And I guess you started last week, so I'll start this week. Okay. My pick, I'm also... you can go the direction towards a long game that will, a long RPG that you can, since you have a lot of free time that you can go through. But I'm actually going the opposite way, kind of again this week. I'm going with Florence, which is a mobile game. It might be on other things, but I'm pretty sure it's just on mobile, because it definitely has a lot of like touch screen.
While you continue talking.
It definitely has a lot of like touch screen stuff that wouldn't really make sense in many other places. But it is it's a very short. You can beat it in literally like 45 minutes to an hour.
It looks like it's on PC and Switch.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can see Switch has the like touchscreen thing, but I'm sure they can find a way to make it work on PC. But this is a very like story-centric game that you can beat in just like an hour or less, and it kind of goes through this relationship that you're having, the two main characters, Florence, and I kind of forget what the other guy's name is, or he might not even be named, because it is one of those games that doesn't really have dialogue. It's like everything's told through the art and through like different things, and it's very simplistic and minimalist in that way, but it works for it super well, and the soundtrack is like really good. It's this like heavy, just like violin and piano. It's kind of a simple soundtrack too, but like orchestrates everything super well. And there's definitely, you'll be playing this game and it's just very like warm, positive vibes as you're playing it, and you just like fall in love with this couple. But then it goes into certain emotions that if you've ever been in a relationship and everything, or just seen that like very like kind of real things of like you see new relationship, you're really excited to do everything, and they'll incorporate like different things that you're doing, like these puzzles on the screen, and the puzzles are super easy when everything's happy in the relationship and everything's going good and everything and you're excited. So it's just like literally you just put this giant puzzle piece in this thing or whatever. But then you kind of see as the relationship starts to get more complicated and both of you are like doing different things and like there's struggle between it starts getting harder and everything, and that just like works so well. I've never had like a story game like that where I felt like the gameplay and puzzles had a very like you understood what emotion they were going for, and as the gameplay got different, like you got to points where like even me just doing different things in the gameplay was giving me chills and goosebumps because I'm like, oh god, you know, you can kind of see where it's going. It's just a very real and honest game, but it's not completely a downer. It's one of those that like you get to the end of it and it's bittersweet, but it's like, you know, it just did such a unique, cool job of like capturing a human relationship and just like the ups and downs of how that goes. And I think it's good for this quarantine because it's something that you can beat within an hour and feel like you accomplished something. It feels like you got this full narrative arc in just I need a break. I'm just going to get on the couch on my phone and you can like plow through it. And I'm sure it's cheap as hell. I mean, I think even when it first launched, it was only like $5 or something like that. So
sounds about right.
It's probably something like that. I highly recommend it. It's really, really creative, really cool game that, you know, I think anyone can appreciate this game. You know, you don't have to be a hardcore gamer to appreciate this game. Yeah. So that is my pick, Florence.
Okay. Well, I'm going the opposite direction as far as length goes.
Good.
Going for a longer one. Going for a good old JRPG, as the kids call it. Yeah. My pick is, for this week, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, baby. Yeah. So, yeah, if you listen to this podcast and us talk about, you know, our favorite games and all that kind of stuff, Tales of Vesperia is up there for one of my favorite games. I love the Tales franchise. Vesperia is either my favorite or second favorite. I kind of go between that and Xillia 2. If
I brought up the ending cinematics to Xillia 2, I could get him. if I just put the right imagery in front of his face before he makes the call, then I can get him.
I'm easily convinced. But why this game in particular? I honestly think Vesperia is, for if you're not someone who's into Tales stuff, might be a good starting point for Tales stuff in general. You know, as long as you're okay with anime stuff, but even this doesn't go that, you know, as far as a lot of other games do. Yeah. There are those tropes in there, but I would say the cast in this, they don't go as far into those tropes where it's in the wacky sense.
100%.
Especially design-wise.
It's a lot, yeah, it's more subtle and more like, I mean, even I enjoyed the characters and just the vibe of this game and all that stuff, even back when I was a lot less... The weeb had hit me less. I don't know.
We got him.
I am watching like a bunch of shows about cute anime girls that you aren't even watching, so I guess I'm too far gone now. But I'd second that. And
as far as like, the potential gameplay of Vesperia and potentially that, I think just kind of thinking about Vesperia is kind of the bridge of the kind of more old school Tales where it's kind of simple, especially from a combat standpoint, and the newer Tales where it's more complex, where they start adding systems. Vesperia is kind of the end of all that, and it's still kind of the kind of old JRPG thing where there is a little world map where you're kind of big and you're kind of going for it. Like, I'm just using this as an example because it's something I'm playing right now. I'll have Final Fantasy VII. Kind of do that to go to the destinations and going in there. Yuri Lowell, the main character of the game, voiced by Troy Baker, and at least most of the cutscenes.
yeah. You can explain that a little bit.
So what happened is because it's a definitive edition, it has new scenes, so they had to get the voice actors to record new things, and it is not Troy Baker.
And pretty obviously not Troy Baker
during new scenes. Yeah. So that's the only downside I can really think of as far as that stuff goes. But Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Yuri. For a lot of people, Yuri's one of their favorite JRPG protagonists. He's kind of out there. He's not just the goofy, like, teenager kid or whatever that a lot of these have on there. He's kind of, I mean, he might be a teenager. He's probably like early 20s or something like that. But he's kind of more serious. He's kind of has more depth to him than a lot of other things. He's not just a straight goody. There's kind of like moral quandaries as far as like what he's doing. But he's also
not just like the straight emo dark guy either, which especially the last Square RPG
he'll crack jokes
into, like like he kind of reminds me of Cloud in a way where like on the surface he's like the edgy emo guy or whatever. But I mean, he's not even emo really. He's just edgy or whatever. He's like goes against the grain and everything. But like very quickly you realize like no, like he has a very good sense of humor and like he's kind of there's a lot more to him.
Yeah, a lot more to him. And like I said, the battle system, it's pretty simple but very fun, very dynamic. So there's action combat, but not like you would think of with JRPGs and action combat like Final Fantasy 15 and the like. And all that, so it's very fun, and also potential added bonus if you're stuck in quarantine with a loved one. There's very particular. There is co-op when you're in battles. People can control different characters. There are 4 characters on screen, and multiple people can play. So that's always been a bonus for like Darby and myself. And when I used to play these games with my sister, my first time playing I played the full game with my sister.
Yeah, me and you have always enjoyed, like, it's kind of interesting because, like, me and you grew up playing JRPGs on our own, but that's, like, playing JRPGs has always just been a very singular experience, and it was kind of cool experiencing these things together and being able to, like, go through, because there are definitely some really cool plot points that come out of this game that are very unexpected, and just having, like, I was there with me, you, and your sister were all there, like, when some of those happened, we're like, oh, shit, this is really cool, like...
Yeah, and as far as like potential price, because this is a big thing, you may not know being it. It's continuously on sale. I think it's part of the reason I thought about it because I just saw something about being on sale again, and it's on everything: PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. Nice. As far as the definitive edition goes, so it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, I like what you said also, that I do think, I not really even thought about it, I do think this is a good bridge game if you're used to like turn-based RPGs and stuff like Final Fantasy VII or old school games like that. This is kind of a cool, like, it's adding a new element to that with the, you're running around and it's like action combat, but it's still like, it's simple enough that, like you said, it still kind of has the feeling of an old turn-based RPG. Yeah. I mean, not turn-based, but, just kind of the, I'm going to use this move here, do this or whatever, is still kind of present.
Yeah, and even, like I was saying, like the map and just the way the general story and all that kind of stuff is structured, it's more, just everything's more structured like an old school JRPG, except more modern. And honestly, as far as the art style goes, I mean, the way they do it, it holds up very well compared to a lot of games that came out around the time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, it's not like
cutting edge, but the character models,
But then, like, there's definitely like just some of the world design, especially like it's a weird specific thing, but just the way that they design nature in Tales games has always like appealed to me. Like giant trees with all this crazy stuff. Like, there's just a very like, even if the graphics aren't the best, the actual like just world design has always been cool to me. And pretty much even the Tales games I've seen that I don't like as much, still the environment designs, I'm like, that's just a cool idea for a space, Yep. Because like no space in there, you don't just walk into a town and it's like, it's just a town with a bunch of things. It's usually like crazy colors and like all this other shit, which is cool.
Good game.
Cool stuff. Good game. All right, and with that over, we really don't have any game talk, do we, Jeff?
Nope.
Didn't think so. So it's time to get into the news jingle.
Jingle. Okay, Derby. I struggled to think what to start with as far as news with this stuff. There's a lot of things way to go into it, but I figure I get to start to get the flow going.
All right. Build that flow.
There was a game announcement yesterday as we're recording. We're recording on Thursday, April 30th. And we got the debut trailer today as of this recording.
We did.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been revealed. They revealed it with Boss Logic, I think was his name. Kind of doing a little art piece.
Everyone who had Valhalla, congratulations on winning your bets. Ragnarok, sorry guys. Get the next one.
Drawing the concept art for it and ending with that. Though I guess the only downfall of that was they made us wait to the next day for the trailer.
Yeah.
It could be good to swell up and then the trailer at the end, maybe. But
yeah. And there's other things that, like, there's definitely a different universe where this trailer happens in, like, a press conference or something, and you don't know what it is until the end. But honestly, we've known that this was going to be Vikings.
No, that's what when you were saying that earlier, it's like, no, if we had any way of thinking like a Ubisoft game could be, or if it was like during Ubisoft conference, like there's no way we wouldn't have known this was it.
Ubisoft should just never plan to have a surprise because they can't keep their shit.
No, but even with this trailer, it was kind of, we were just kind of watching. Obviously, I knew it was Assassin's Creed. It's like, this is not like Assassin's Creed at all. Like nothing about it is Assassin's Creed whatsoever until the end where the guy had the hidden blade. But even that's kind of like, I mean, we kind of look at that as like, it's kind of Assassin's Creed-y, but that could go for a lot of things.
It's also, you can kind of say the same thing about the general beginning of Odyssey as well, especially since like we haven't seen anything even close to gameplay yet. It's just like this cinematic thing.
But even this, I mean, I agree with you. I'd say this is even more so because you kill a big burly Viking dude. It's like, he does not look like an assassin. No. He's swinging a big axe.
He's not doing a stealth mission.
I mean, you probably will end up doing a stealth mission. So doing that. So I got some. There's more information out there and everything, but I got a couple, I guess, bigger points or whatever. It is planned for holiday 2020. They're still saying it's coming out this year. You would assume during, if not on console launch day, around it.
Yeah.
We've done, before, after.
Oh yeah. So wait, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I think you're about to answer the thing. It's
gonna be playable on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, the Epic Game Store, Uplay, and Stadia. So pretty much everything but the Switch and Steam.
Yeah.
So we're about to ask you, just asking like what it's.
I was going to ask if they, we had talked about it before, if they did have PS5 and Xbox One X, Series X.
Yes, at the end of the trailer, and this kind of goes into our next story a little bit, but we're still going to talk about this some. You get them the trailer, it's like Xbox Series X at the end. It's okay, Microsoft has the marketing rights to this game. Not surprising because they've had the last couple,
and they have it for a lot of third parties.
Yes. So that's not surprising, but yeah. The hero's name is Eivor.
Eeyore.
Yes,
you're playing as Eeyore.
Can be male or female. You get the choice back, and it's going to be the same name either way. So it's going to different as far as following this stuff, at least for us who were not playing the games. The male, female, and Odyssey had different names, so we were able to follow like what people were playing and what they liked or disliked. While people played the male one a lot more. Alios, what's the name?
Yeah.
The people that, we followed a lot more played Cassandra and loved her. We would have thought it was the opposite, but...
Yeah.
But now we're not going to know unless they say male or female.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if that's an indication that it's going to be more similar between the two than Odyssey, because I think Odyssey had, like, a fair amount of differences between, like, obviously you went on the same quest, but I think like a lot of the voice lines and even some of the things that happen in the quest, from what I heard people talk about, was different between the two. I wonder if this is any indication that they'll be more similar, or if it's just a name and we shouldn't read that much into it. I don't know.
Yeah. If Kirby's like, oh, that Fire Emblem franchise is doing good, just having them both the same name. Well, let's continue doing that.
Might just be easier to, like, we don't want to have to, we want to just be able to put the name on there and not have to change it.
Yeah. I do wonder, I read a thread or et cetera before this thing was officially, the trailer was shown, about, what they may do with this whole gender stuff. Like, maybe they should go for the full, like, what if they just did female only, that kind of stuff. Or that kind of stuff, because something as far as like female representation and all that, because apparently the way they did it in Odyssey, while there was some differences, it was still kind of gender neutral, if not kind of mannish as far as the way they talk to you. Like,
there's definitely like the prime example that me and my sister always make fun of is Fable 3. Like, you can choose male or female, but if you choose female, there are just some situations that just would be like, oh, y'all, this was just supposed to be a man here. This just feels awkward and out of place. Yeah.
The whole thing with Odyssey is weird. It's something I was kind of either reminded or learned or whatever recently. I think I knew this before, but Cassandra is canon, but all the marketing has
I didn't think there would be a canon.
I don't know. That's what people are saying. It's like Ubisoft. It's just something that happens, or Ubisoft kind of like Cassandra is technically the canon one.
Weird.
Which apparently, for some story implications, may make sense. They may have to choose one because it could be story relevant, like for future games. I don't know. So yeah, that kind of stuff. No surprise they're doing the male female choosing again. After this, you can't go back.
No, yeah. And the choice is nice as long as both options feel equally fleshed out.
Yeah, though there was people did have the slight fear right after the trailer because it's only the guy in there, which makes it's a cinematic trailer, makes this one. But you didn't see stuff immediately that said the females. People were like, Then some of the stuff came out. I was like, okay, females playable. Then they showed the deluxe whatever edition, and the statue is the female.
I bet they showed the man here in the cinematic, and I bet the first time they showed gameplay, they'll show the woman probably.
Show her off. There'll be a focus on building a Viking settlement derby. That's gonna apparently be the main hub where your missions start and end and all that, and a big part of the game is seeing how your decisions make this thing grow. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
Like as you conquer new places and take the prisoners and you take them back to.
Yep.
if we go like realistic about Vikings, then we're the bad guys. So we're gonna be like pillaging places. And just like,
you're an assassin through this whole freaking thing.
Probably, but I think we're assassin for good or something. Yeah. I think it's one of those. And this was probably gonna be like, you're a Viking, but you're a good guy Viking. You only beat bad people. And
it features Britain, Scandinavia, and Norway. I guess those places you go to.
Cool.
Edgar Allan Poe is your companion.
Oh, I missed this.
Nah, it's just a joke because you got a raven companion.
And he transforms.
Yeah, it's a magic raven or something like you had the eagles in past games.
Okay.
Let's go a different way. You can customize your beard derby.
Came in here.
And then you can customize other shit too. But the beard's the most important thing. Also, something I didn't put in here, some people might be interested in knowing, is there is going to you're going to play in present day.
Yeah.
I know that's a common thing, but it seems like based on what I heard, they kind of got away from that.
It's gotten less and less important, but I think it's still been in every game, just sometimes in very minor ways. Like I think for a while there, at least, it was like literally it was the simulation was someone is doing this as a vacation. It's like you go into it. I legitimately think that is some of the games. They're like, we don't feel like doing the new modern day plot because everyone hates it. So it was like there's one scene at the beginning of someone's like, welcome to your vacation thing. Here, put on this VR headset and you can become an old ancient Roman soldier. And then you just play the whole game.
I feel like that's one of those things where if really that's what you do, just don't do it.
I agree with you. Just make the historical game.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that get really into all that. But that's the type of thing. That's the type of solution that makes no one happy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if you're like super into the modern day Assassin's Creed lore, I can't imagine that some tourist putting on a VR headset is something you're like, yeah.
Final thing I have on here, it will make use of the smart delivery program from Xbox.
Yeah. Which I hope that is not a rare thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we might learn about how rare it is next week because we are seeing gameplay of this game next week during the Xbox Series X Inside Xbox. And this is the little blurb I got for that. An Inside Xbox focused on Xbox Series X gameplay from third-party games will debut on May 7th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time / 8 a.m. Pacific Time. First-party games will be shown off during the summer, during some event. Probably around E3 time.
So we're talking about this now? We moving in.
Is there anything else you want to say about Assassin's Creed?
Not really, because I'm not interested. I mean, you sounded, because you're Jeff and you love everything, that you were maybe getting swayed in some way. I mean,
I'll see what the gameplay has to offer.
I'll see what the gameplay has to offer, but I have my doubts. I just worry Assassin's Creed's just like they kind of are what they are. I know Odyssey changed a lot of things, but still the things I didn't like about Assassin's Creed were still very present. Like
Assassin's Creed is one of those things to where if I have absolutely nothing new to play around that time and it grabs me in some way, then maybe I'll give it a try. But if I don't, it's one of those games if I don't get it like day one or shortly after, I'm probably never playing it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those games. But we got this Inside Xbox thing, then maybe they can sway me with their gameplay.
Yes.
With the gameplay. So yeah, this thing is Gonna be focused on the gameplay. So people might want to get their expectations tempered as far as release date and price and all that kind of stuff. I haven't seen people get excited for that necessarily, but I'm sure there's some people out there who are getting hyped. Oh, this is the big thing where everything's getting shown. No,
yeah,
it's just gameplay for this.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's gonna be something, even if it's just like, well, look at the box, like more look at the box than we got before. So something, just the fact that this is like technically the first time we're kind of seeing it in action.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, I think we definitely could get the release date and price and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I wouldn't count on it 100%.
Yeah, I think they are just going to stick with the gameplay and whatever. Just because of the way it normally goes, and we know Microsoft's at least having or at least planning some digital event right now, that they are just going to save a date and price for the whatever stuff around E3.
Yeah, so what is your read before we start talking about like what games we think might be in here? What's your read on this being a third party centric thing, like right at the beginning? Because like my immediate takeaway might be that it's like, okay, y'all feel like y'all have enough first party stuff to fill a whole
okay,
event
it
later.
Also gets you excited.
That's the optimistic side.
Shinobi on Twitter pretty much has been hinting at like, oh, Xbox has plenty of this shit for first party.
Right, and the fact that they're segmenting it out, like, did you? I guess you took it the same way that I'm like.
I took it as some, and another way to look at it, this could be one way. This could be the main reason, or it's part of the reason is third-party partners in particular want this stuff to go ahead and announce so they can start the promotion stuff. Like with Assassin's Creed, like they wanted to do this now so they can get the hype rolling.
Like they were going to announce it now with or without Xbox.
Yeah, like they don't want to wait, and I get that. So Xbox is like, okay, we're going to throw this bone to you guys. Mm-hmm. And so you guys can start your marketing cycles for this stuff without needing us to wait for E3 or whatever, or whatever else. And if Microsoft's got this stuff for them, it's like it's a win-win. We'll still get the hype from this thing, and then they'll still have third-party stuff for the June digital event and their first-party games to get people hyped. It was a bummer for like 2 seconds that there's like not going to be no Halo Infinite or the rumored Fable game, for instance. But like, I get it. Depending what's shown here,
and maybe that means that like this is also like this thing's going to be enough to stand on its own, and a future first party thing might be enough to stand on its own. So maybe they have a good chunk of stuff to announce.
I am expecting whatever where they're talking about when they're showing the first party stuff. There's going to be third party there. I think that's pretty much going to be the E3.
I wonder if this third-party thing has like ballooned in size post everything being canceled. Like, I wonder if there have been things added to this that weren't, originally thought of.
I am very curious to how big is this thing? How long it's going to be? How many games? We know Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to be there. That's enough to get people to watch it right there. Yeah, Devolver Digital responded to it, so I guess there could be something from them there.
But there's not a huge precedent. Like, this could be anything from E3-esque thing where we're just like going through a bunch of games and announcements and all these other things, or it could be we just really want to show off how powerful our console is, so here's like 3 games or 4 games that are like, look at how fucking good they look. Like, it could just be that as well. Like and honestly, I can't really tell you. Like, I don't really have that much of a prediction.
It's hard to read on this thing, but
but you want to talk about just potential games that we think might be candidates to be there, because one that you brought up and the next on your list, I think, is something I didn't think. I've kind of forgot about this game, but I think...
I didn't come up with my own. This is just a popular one on the internet, Elden Ring. Because as we know from last E3, Microsoft has the marketing rights to this game. So it makes... When we see it, it's going to be at a Microsoft event. That's just, common sense at this point. And I can see it being here. The way I'm kind of reading this, as far as what games and what games are going to be shown, I got a feeling most, if not all of them, will be games we already know exist. I'm not expecting a big announcement. I feel like if we were going to go on, it was going to be Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but they just went ahead and Ubisoft wanted to go ahead and get it out there.
But at least Elden Ring is one of those that like it might as well be a new announcement because we've seen nothing.
Especially since this is apparently focused on gameplay.
Right.
So that's why I think it's going to...
So if you see that.
I think Elden Ring will be a big one, and that would get people talking between Assassin's Creed and Elden Ring.
And honestly, with how fast it seems like FromSoft is able to make games anymore, like I think it's believable that it would be enough time to at least see it. I would definitely not expect this to be like a launch window or anything. It would be like into next year, but like
I'm expecting Elden Ring to be next year. I mean, even before COVID-19, but that stuff probably push things back.
And I think Elden Ring, there's definitely a good chance it doesn't happen for this thing either. But like that is a candidate for sure.
I think it'd be the most exciting candidate for sure. And yeah, I hope people aren't getting too excited like Elden Ring or bust.
I just hope that when they show it, I hope I can like see the George R. R. Martin influence. I hope it's something that I can just be like, oh, there it is. You know, that's the George R. R. Martin.
What I want from Elden Ring is, I mean, not to say FromSoft games would, or look bad or anything, or they're good, and I can see myself getting into them. I want this game to be like, especially since the George R. R. Martin stuff, be like, this is the ones like I actually really want to play.
I
this
wanted
game.
there to be some hook where I'm like, okay, I can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can't sit this one out.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I have Cyberpunk 2077. I know that's a weird one because it's coming out beforehand, but they're going to want to push this game hard, and we already know it's going to be playable on next gen. Like through the
CD Projekt Red has talked about it.
Yeah, it's going to be through the smart delivery program, so we know it's going to be playable on Series X. So I see no reason to doubt this one, really.
At least just another trailer, or to show like specific enhancements or something, or to show like like this on current gen, next gen, or whatever the comparison. And normally you would think like, why are you trying to trash your own product? But again, the smart delivery thing, it's kind of like, well, if you buy it here, you can get it there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess CD Projekt Red could worry about like having people wait to buy their game, but no. Yeah. But I do think it's a decent chance because it's such a technical powerhouse game, and when you're trying to sell a big old box.
Yep. This next one, I think there's a chance. I'm not as sold on this one, but I think there's a chance. Tales of Arise.
Yeah, if this was like just the E3 thing, if we were talking about the E3 type or E3 replacement type stream thing, I would feel more like lock it down, it's in
100%.
Because this is supposed to be a gameplay thing that's promoting hardware. Like obviously Tales of Arise looks fantastic, but I don't think it's something that everyone like Assassin's Creed is going to be something that everyone's like, look at this tech, look at these freaking water physics and everything. I don't think Tales of Arise is quite that. It's kind of a different style of impressive.
I agree, but potential counterpoint, Devolver Digital's spotted, so it's like we're getting with their games.
This is true.
The games look good, but obviously they have a style, and
it's lower budget.
Lower budget. So, assuming that means they're actually going to be there, have a game there, that means they're not just going
Devolver
for the
Digital
high-end
could
stuff.
be just fucking with you too.
I mean, it's very possible, but let's just assume that they actually do have something there. Because normally when they do that stuff, they're involved in some way. That means they're not just doing the really high budget stuff. They'll have some stuff in between.
Yeah, part of the problem is we don't know what this is,
Yeah. And another reason to put Tales of Arise here is, again, marketing rights. It was premiered at Xbox thing. Yeah. And if this was just their general E3 replacement thing, I'd consider it a lock, probably.
Yeah. And it's starting to feel like Sony's just not going to have... I don't think Sony's going to have an equivalent of Microsoft's, like, look at all these third-party games stream. I think they might have somewhat of it, but, like, Sony...
They'll have Call of Duty.
I think when Sony reveals its console, it's going to be way more of, here's the console, it's the console. Whereas I think Xbox is going to be, here's the console, now here's E3, basically. Here's, like, a bunch of third-party things. I just don't think that's going to... I mean, we already saw that with the last actual E3, where Sony's like, we're going to focus on our 4 games, and here's Control. Here's Control and Call of Duty. But other than that, we're just going to focus on this. I think that it's going to be a similar thing this year. So something like Tales of Arise, I expect to see it on Microsoft stuff the whole way through. And
Dying Light 2. Game's been gone a while.
Wasn't that game supposed to come out?
Yes. Yeah. It's supposed to be out by now, I believe. I don't know when it got pushed back to. I don't know if it was like an indefinitely thing, but I could see it here. Because part of me making this list was this part of the list was marketing rights Microsoft had.
Yeah, didn't they have like a big gameplay thing at the last E3?
Yeah, it was pretty significant.
Like they had all the computers or something. They at least had it like on there or something. It was like one of the more extended things.
Yeah. So I could see it.
Yeah, it's one of those, you better be ready to release this thing if you're going to come out. You better be like where you're able to say, this is when it's coming if you're going to come out there.
Next game is kind of more of a hope maybe, but Assassin's Creed there, so I don't see why not. Watch Dogs Legion.
There's a chance, yeah.
Though I guess you make an argument, Assassin's Creed maybe the reason it's not there.
Might be, yeah, and they might like Ubisoft's probably gonna want to focus on the next gen game.
Watch Dogs
it wasn't developed as necessarily. Like, it was supposed to be out by now. It was supposed to already be out like a year before the consoles even came out. I guess Valhalla's going to come out.
Well, at the moment, Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs are pretty much the same thing as far as launching. They're both going to launch along. Yeah. They're both going to be cross-gen and launch alongside the next-gen consoles. Yeah. So
I'm not completely trashing. Yeah, I definitely think.
I get you. Might be there, yeah. I mean, the Assassin's Creed thing is an argument for and against, depending on how you want to go at it.
No one.
I'm hoping. This is partly because I want to see more of the game. Like we're talking about. Man, I don't get Assassin's Creed. I'm in for Watch Dogs Legion. I know that. I love Watch Dogs 2. So we're in. I just want to see more of the game and more concrete. Like, okay, it's coming out by the end of this year, kind of thing.
Because right now it has no date, right?
Yeah, we just kind of had rumors / leaks or whatever information that it's supposed to be planned pretty much at launch for next gen consoles.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which also scares me as far as getting made delay further because. How close do they want Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs?
I was about to say, they're going to have, like, their two big games of the last, like, they didn't really have much last year either, really, right? What did Ubisoft have last year? I mean, I don't want to get hung up on
goes Recon stuff and Far Cry New Dawn.
Failed. Far Cry New Dawn was last year.
Yes.
I thought that was 2 years ago.
No. Far Cry 5 was 2 years ago, I believe.
I thought that was like 3 years ago. I don't
know. One of us is getting mixed up.
What is time?
Far Cry is Eternal. Far Cry Eternal, the name of the next game.
Well, we did.
Write it down.
Far Cry Valhalla. Ah, shit.
And the final game I have on here is more wishful thinking that I'm 99% sure won't happen. But, man, the way they've been trying to hype up this game, who the fuck knows?
February 2019, you were correct.
Yeah, baby. The new Batman game. Where the fuck is it? Gotta show it at some point.
We can't talk about this game anymore. Ban until they show it. Ban until...
Yeah, so...
We might as well talk about the Harry Potter game already.
Hey, they've actually officially teased this Batman game.
They have.
So...
Hey, that random dude in the booth at the mall teased that Harry Potter game
years ago. So... Yeah. Darby, I'm kind of split on something, though. Because technically at work, I can have Tuesday or Thursday off. So I just go ahead and try to definitely get Thursday off so I can try to react to this.
What time of day is it?
11 a.m.
Yep. 0 chance for me. Bye.
Yeah. I feel like it is my duty to at least try to be here to react to it.
Oh, yeah. If you're here.
Yeah.
I'll try to make sure everything is working.
The only problem is I got to work 6 days in a row.
Yeah.
That's a weekend. Yes.
That is your journey to walk, my friend.
I need to do it.
That is your journey to figure out to soul search.
It is my duty as a host of this podcast to do it, so we get something.
Damn straight.
So that's what I will plan to do. So hopefully I will be able to react to this, and it's probably going to go fucking horrible because Dari won't be here and things go to shit.
I'll try my best to make sure everything is working before we go, but... Technology has not been treating me well the last few weeks, so we'll see.
Yep. So I'm pretty excited about this, even as just seeing gameplay for next gen games. Because honestly, all the games that are possible are games we kind of want to see more from anyway, or haven't seen too much from. So
yeah, but I am very still interested in that first party one because that's going to be games that are actually built for the next gen. We're still, even with Assassin's Creed and stuff, we're watching games that are enhanced by next gen stuff.
Well, let me stop you there. But Xbox games are going to be for...
yes, they are going to... Yeah.
But...
Yes, that's true.
And they're both going to be on PC, so it's not exactly... But we'll be seeing what their studios are working on and their games we are excited about. Like Halo and the potential Fable. And I assume that's when we're going to see Psychonauts too. I know that's not really going to be next gen, but I just want to see the fucking game. Yeah. I want a release date. Yeah. Speaking of release dates, we are going to Sony now.
Crossing the ocean.
Yep, crossing the ocean.
To continent Sony.
We got some release dates for 2 games. The Last of Us Part 2. It was delayed indefinitely, but little did we know, indefinitely means 3 weeks. So Last of Us Part 2 is launching June 19th, while Ghost of Tsushima is getting delayed because, that would have been original release date was a week after this Last of Us date. Also 3 weeks to July 17th.
It does feel bad that like Last of Us basically just ended up having the most dramatic 3-week delay of all time.
Yeah.
Where it's really not that bad, but they had the PR thing of it's like, oh my god, it's indefinite.
Yeah, so we got
it's never coming out.
So we got a couple things to talk about here. One, obviously these release dates, and two, the leaks surrounding the reason for these exact dates.
Yeah, I think me and you both agree that like obviously the release date was in flux at Sony, like they were trying to figure out what it's going to be. I wholeheartedly believe that the very, very, very major leaks is a very big part of this only being a 3-week delay.
Yes.
Like, I bet when those leaks happened, Naughty Dog looked to Sony and they're like, we have to put this game out. Like,
yeah.
Naughty Dog already probably wasn't crazy about delaying the game anyway, because they wanted to get it in people's hands. Obviously, they're the creators. It's Sony that's more like, we don't want to miss out on these sales and all these other things. I'm sure as soon as this leak happened, like they turned to Sony and they're like, "You are not pushing this back 3 months. Like we can't do that. Like this has.
We
to
can't
come
do
out.
it indefinitely. We need to.
This has to happen.
Yeah,
because it's already. And we got to talk about how much of a bummer this whole thing is. I've already seen at least Blessing it kind of funny, so he knows how the game ends now. He's seen it. That just sucks. We're like 2 months out of this game, and so many people that have been looking forward to this game for years, like Will, who guests on our podcast all the time, he said he's been spoiled. I looked like kind of funny, and there was people who said that they just went on Twitter to go ban the Last of Us words on Twitter, which everyone could do. I already did, but they were going to do that, and they just see the end of the game there. Like the spoilers were like, they've calmed down a bit now, but they were rampant.
Yeah, and I hate to be a media person right now because Brian Altano posted someone that was like intentionally spoiled him on the game.
Sucks. I've seen other people. It was like someone who's like a streamer content person who's like super into The Last of Us, and someone sent him something in the mail that looked like nice fan art or something, and he was going through it, and then it was like, oh, spoilers for the game. It was just an elaborate way to spoil the dude for the game. Fuck. What's
wrong with these fucking people?
So neither of us have been spoiled, right? No. Yeah. This is just because this is the worst possible game for this to happen to of all the major releases.
Yeah.
Like, at least Final Fantasy VII Remake was, like a lot of it was a 23-year-old game with some major spoilers. I mean, it would suck to get that spoiled, but like Last of Us is its story. Like that is the bread and butter of this whole damn thing. I mean, I would be bummed to see Cyberpunk things too, but at least it's like, living in that world is going to be a big part of Cyberpunk.
Well, even that isn't all the different branching paths. That's just like one thing.
Last of Us is just like... And the fact that we've been waiting for this since 2013, and then 2 months before you get spoiled is just such a heartbreaking thing.
Yep. I mean, like you were saying, I'm sure once this happened, Nadia was like, okay, Sonny, we need to get a date on this thing. Not long after the original date. I know we can't do it. I guess we can't do the original date now.
We cannot push it far.
Yeah. Like, okay, we'll do it as soon as we can. And then they go to Sucker Punch, like, yeah, Sucker Punch, you're back 3 more weeks. Like, God.
What you talk about, this is the like most very rare weird thing that's happened to Sucker Punch is that it's very rare that a AAA developer is handed free time without asking for it. Like handed more development time. Usually they're begging for more development time, and they'll like maybe get 2 delays, and it's like, all right, we can't do this anymore. You got to put the game out. This is one of those that they've just been working on it, and because of unforeseen circumstances surrounding The Last of Us mostly, it's been like, all right, Sucker Punch, here's a month. All right, here's 2 more months. It's like, you just keep getting more time.
This is us just kind of assuming it, but as far as Tsushima being where it is, the way things sounded and felt, it's like Ghost of Tsushima's kind of been mostly done.
There's been no public reason that we can see for its delays that it had to do with it.
Yeah.
Maybe it needed those delays anyway, and we never got to know because of The Last of Us.
But at the very least, this delay is 100% because of The Last of Us. At least because it also got delayed 3 weeks.
Okay, because that's what like everyone when a lot of people saw The Last of Us date first, they're like, wait a minute, it's coming out within 3 days of Ghost of Tsushima.
That happened when Olivia texts like, okay, I understand. Okay, I'm gonna assume Ghost of Tsushima got laid, and there is no reason for Olivia to post about it.
Yeah,
so send us the message like, okay. This makes sense. And timing-wise for this, it works for me great. As far as, I wish Last of Us was coming out sooner, of course, so I wouldn't have to avoid it. But just generally speaking, because end of May, got Xenoblade and Shantae. Then 3 weeks later, Last of Us. And then a month later, I guess, so I got stuff May, June, and July. I got some major releases.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
At least I have Shantae. But
yeah.
And at least like I'm glad it's Last of Us than Ghost of Tsushima. I imagine I'm going to beat Last of Us faster than I'll beat Ghost of Tsushima, being an open world RPG type thing.
Yep. And unless you can't definitively say this because everything is crazy right now. But unless something really crazy happened, I think it's safe to assume Last of Us is not getting delayed again.
I don't think so, because they're already pretty much committing to, like, we know that there might be production problem, like distribution problems, but we're just going to accept it at this point. Like, they wouldn't have like put that new date down there if they were going to bail out just because of COVID again. You know, like not that COVID was a bad reason to do that, but like they already did the indefinite thing, and then they staked their like flag in the ground, and now there's this ticking time bomb with the spoilers that more people are going to keep getting spoiled. I think now they're just going to be like, if you get your physical stuff late, we're sorry. Yeah, this is just how it's going to be. You know. Yeah, so I assume that those games are coming. Yeah,
because again, these spoilers going out it's the moment the whole reasoning for physical them doing physical went out the door.
It did, because it was like, we don't want some people to get it earlier than others and then get spoiled. Now it's like, well, the whole damn fan base is getting spoiled, so it's like, and
the people who care about the most will get it digitally if that's what it takes.
Yeah. It sucks that it sounds like this is like not your average leak. This is not just like a few little things here and there. This is like videos of the whole game being leaked and like, crucial ending stuff. And it's gonna be very weird, like listening to like Kind of Funny Spoilercast and be like, half of you knew from the very beginning everything that was going to happen, where the other half were completely surprised. It's going to be like a weird, assuming that some people make it out alive. Some people, some people make it out of the spoiler thing free.
Yep. Jerry, I got a prediction. Knock on wood. At least one of us is going to get spoiled.
I can see
not because we're looking for it. We'll just go into some like a month from now when we're kind of not really thinking about it. Go to some random comment section for any bullshit, and it will be right there.
That's the problem. It can happen anywhere. I think I was like an NFL article and scrolled down and I'm like, oh, there's the ending of Breaking Bad. Cool. Great.
Yeah. So I want to end this conversation as far as the story goes. Ghost of Tsushima, the story of this game feels weird. Just because the way it was kind of like, we knew some parts of the game was coming, and now it's like, cool, it goes away from a while.
For a long time.
I feel like it's coming out and everything, and it's pretty hyped up. I feel like we haven't seen too much from the game, which, I mean,
we saw that
cool.
one, 5-minute gameplay trailer thing.
Yeah, the Game Awards.
Yeah, and that was
and we saw the trailer before that, so we've seen some, but it doesn't feel like we've seen that much for a game that.
But it wasn't a ton of gameplay. We at least just haven't seen a big quantity of gameplay. When you even think about like Cyberpunk, where they're like, here's an hour of gameplay. Like they're different games, but they're definitely, and I think part of that is 100% Sony being like, we're fucking Sony. This is a first party game. Yeah. You're gonna buy this shit. That is definitely like, if this was like a random dev or even like Ubisoft or someone like that, they would be like, no, we're gonna sell our game. Sony is kind of like going off of that era of mystery where like, the quality that we.
I mean, it kind of fits because you're kind of like a Shadow Samurai dude, but it's like it's living in the shadow of all the other games, at least for the hype cycle. Just kind of for this whole thing. It's just kind of funny.
So what's your predictions on like Ghost of Tsushima sales? Like, I don't need an exact number, but like where do you think, like, so in comparison to like Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War, Uncharted, all these, like, where around does it live? Like,
I think also excellent, but it will be below all those games you just named.
Okay. Yeah, and both of those things can be true.
I mean, because then the ceiling for that is 10 million.
Yes. Yeah. Or you mean like the floor? The
ceiling. Like if it's below all those 10 million,
right?
To be below those is it's still you could do 10 million and still be below all those and sell excellent.
Right.
I think with everything in this game, it will sell excellent as long as it is a great game and it lives up to the standards of.
I think the word of mouth, and like if it comes out and it has 9.5s and 10s and stuff like that, then it's like, okay, then we might be off to the races. But
July is a great time.
Yeah.
As far as we know, it's going to be like the only thing.
Right, yeah. I mean, and even something like Days Gone that I think all of us were like, okay, this is going to be kind of the Sony game that doesn't really sell as well. And then it's like, oh, nope. There's all the sales.
We don't know the numbers. We don't know how it compares necessarily, but
we've heard very good things.
Everything we have did really well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm around the same boat too. I don't think it's going to beat any of those games on its highest end. I think it beats Horizon if it like everything goes super great for it. But I wouldn't expect that.
I agree.
There you go. Me and Jeff agreeing it never happened before.
No. Speaking of Horizon, Darty, this might surprise you, but we might be getting a sequel to Horizon Zero.
What?
All this stuff comes from Andy Robinson for Video Game Chronicle, which is starting to get a lot of them juicy leaks.
Interesting to see how they did this after Aloy got turned into a giraffe at the end. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see.
Wait.
Oh, damn it! You haven't played it yet.
Is Aloy the giraffe in Last of Us?
I didn't want to. Yes, that was the post-credit scene.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's a universe. It's all.
Wait, so The Last of Us is also the future?
Yes.
Oh shit! The implication
inside of all the skyscrapers, there's actually robot dinosaurs. They were just lurking behind the surface. You just didn't know.
Good thing they didn't go in the buildings.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to.
When Knack shows up. So we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, okay. So just some of the big bullet points. None of this is too crazy out there, but we're talking about some. The Horizon sequel started soon after the release of the first game. Not surprising. Oh yeah, they're planning on a trilogy as well. I don't think that's surprising.
Everything's a trilogy. This podcast is a trilogy. We're still in Act 1. We have a long ways to go. Yes.
This game will have a larger world with more focus on exploration compared to the first.
Okay, the first one was already very exploration based, so interesting.
Yep.
Everything's bigger.
And apparently from the very beginning they wanted to have co-op in this series, and they might be doing that. Whether that means you'll actually do co-op in the single player mode or it will be some kind of separate mode. Yeah. We don't know. Or it may have been scrapped altogether.
Which is interesting because when you play this game, it does not strike me as a game that at any point was planning to be featuring co-op. Like, I don't really see the obvious avenue where it's like, oh, that's where I don't see any remnants of that, at least just from me looking at it. I don't know what it was going to be, but when you're playing it, it's a single player RPG. I mean, it's not doing anything too drastic there, and it definitely that is definitely that's kind of a surprising thing to me. I'm not against it. I'm just interested to see how that goes.
Yep. And also something else surprising. They were potentially looking at this. Initially, the game was planned for PS4, but at some point they decided to probably move it over to, or it's probably planned to move to PS5. Also, not very surprising whatsoever. If that is the case.
If anything, it might be kind of surprising that it was ever planned for PS4, but
yeah,
if they always knew that they were launching the consoles in 2020, but
yeah. Well, they might have been, even if it was 2020, what they might have been thinking might have been happening was Last of Us last year.
And then
Ghost of Tsushima early this year, Horizon being the Last of Us of the PS4.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But I would rather this game just be made for the PS5.
Here's the good.
I would rather that.
Well, I'm not against what Microsoft's planning on doing with Halo, making it, and their other games making it cross-gen. I am okay with some, Sony being like, okay, these games are just going to be for next gen. Cool.
Yeah. Because I want to see what you can do with that beefy stuff, and I've played enough AAA games this last year to know how desperately we need that console upgrade. Because, oh boy, control. Oh boy.
Oh baby. So yeah. Okay, Darby, we've talked about two of the big three. Let's talk about the third one now.
There's another one? Who's that other one over there?
Yeah. Nintendo, it's about time they fail.
We've been waiting for it. Banjo, go ahead and drop them.
Yes.
Go ahead and drop them, Banjo.
You've been carrying them long enough. Okay, this comes from Jeff Grubb from VentureBeat. Nintendo is telling partner developer that it's not going to hold one of its Nintendo Direct video events in June. The publisher has had a June Direct corresponding with E3 every year since 2013. Before that, it held annual stage presentations. But complications brought about from Japan's work-from-home order as part of its attempts to mitigate COVID-19 are forcing Nintendo to push back its schedule. Nintendo is putting together a June event. The company was lining up partners and was planning to unveil its first-party schedule for the rest of 2020. That included highlighting the Mario franchise's 35th anniversary, which it's going to celebrate with the release of some classic 3D Mario games on Switch, according to various reports. But now the company is far less certain. If it holds another Direct, it may not come until the very end of summer. So maybe around their normal September time. And I added this on. Jeff Grubb said on Twitter that does not mean Nintendo won't make announcements around this period. They probably won't happen in the form of Direct. So people are freaking out. It's like, oh no, they're not going to announce anything. It's like, no, they're probably still going to be announcing stuff. It's just not going to be in a video.
Find your piece. So Jeff, I guess that just leaves me with one question. Is Nintendo doomed?
Darby, they've been doomed since they formed.
Is Nintendo doomed, Jeff?
Always.
Okay. All right. Open check case. Doing that voice was too rough on me. Inhaled a lot of saliva.
Make a horrible voice actor.
Oh yeah. Oh, we already knew that. You heard it every time. Like the only voice I can do is that Geralt of Trivia voice from the Nerds and Dragons. I'm like, hello, Jeffrey. Is Nintendo doomed? Okay. What you think? What you think about the lack of a Direct?
I don't think it's particularly too surprising. I guess. I do think, like, you know, we kind of been saying, especially you've been saying that. And well, most people are saying that it's going to be a lackluster year or a 100%. Slower year,
and that was before any COVID thing. It was just
it was looking like that. And as we got more, I'm just kind of hearing more. It's like, okay, probably that's definitely going to be the case. So yeah, not too surprising that they're dropping this, especially because part of the Direct is third-party partners. So stuff might have been happening with those. Like, okay, it's hard to get a big Direct together.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, they were talking about the cited thing immediately for when they said this not happening was complications with COVID and like not being able to work or whatever. So like, again, we're going to see that different companies were just better prepared for this than others.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised Nintendo seemed one of the least likely prepared.
Not super surprised here either. And I mean, it hit Japan kind of late and all of a sudden in a lot of ways. You even saw like there's different, like, you know, Kojima's company was working and it's like, oh yeah, we're fine, and then someone got it. It's like, oh fuck. Everything closed down. And yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think this Direct was probably operating on a razor's edge as far as having enough content to be in it anyway, before any COVID stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it was already, I don't think Nintendo has a ton of things to announce this year, so it was already probably leaning on some third-party stuff and leaning on like maybe propping up some things that we wouldn't normally prop up. Like I feel like this Direct was like, you know, don't look behind the curtain. Like, here's the, you know. And then like I think COVID is probably something that just kind of knocks it down. Where again, that doesn't mean that they're going to like cancel all those announcements. It just means they probably like the Mario anniversary stuff. I imagine that was always going to be pretty much their biggest thing this year, and it's not a new game. You know, it's a very big deal, but like it's not like when you look back on 2020, you're going to be looking back at new games and they're not going to have many. I think that was always going to be their biggest thing. I still think those announcements are going to happen the same time they normally would have. It's just not going to be part of a Direct because they don't feel like they have enough. It's my guess.
Yeah. You know, even then, the potentially what they might have been doing is whether it comes out this year or not, maybe putting At Large for the Wild 2 on there. Because again, I still hold the thing is probably scheduled for this year at some point when they announced it last year. But even if they did push it back to early next year or whatever, that, you know, they could still show during this thing, and that would have got people hyped if we saw.
Yeah.
But with this COVID stuff, that stuff might be happening. So we're like, okay, let's maybe hold off on showing Breath of the Wild 2 because who knows?
Well, also with this COVID stuff, it might have gone from early next year to late next year.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like, okay, we may not know when Breath of the Wild 2's yet, and that was going to be like the big thing, like the thing people were going to talk about. So let's just wait on that. I feel like something like that was going to happen where something they really wanted to show is just like it may be unlikely to come when they wanted.
And it would have been, I mean, I'll even admit, it would have been kind of weird if like the only big Nintendo announcement in their summer direct is a bunch of old Mario games coming to the console, which is obviously very hype, but it's not,
Well, I mean, the rumors when the Mario thing was out was that they were actually going to have a Mario event in May to kind of announce this stuff, and then still have their E3
So
directs.
then that even more so, they probably just don't have a lot of stuff to be big headliners here. You're probably right. Breath of the Wild 2 was probably the thing that they were like. I was talking about them leaning on Mario. I kind of forgot about the May event. It was probably more likely that something like Breath of the Wild 2 was the thing that they were hedging all their bets on.
Maybe not even just one thing. There might have been a couple things where now they're questioning whether that stuff will come out when they want it to. So let's just hold off on putting all this whole direct together. They'll still announce things like the Mario thing and maybe the Paper Mario that's rumored to come out and stuff like that. And Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. Just do trailers for that kind of stuff. Just shout drop those. And so one thing I do think is definitely confirmed for June though, or I feel pretty good about, is Smash Bros. Because Sakurai did his normal article thing he does in Famitsu or whatever, and it's a little it was, I think he technically wrote it a couple weeks back, but he said the fighter's still on schedule and all that stuff. They are working from home, but things are progressing normally.
Well, apparently June was already a pushback, right? They said when they announced that it was going to be an ARMS character, it's like we're also pushing back the release date.
And that could have partly been to coincide with this June direct.
Yeah.
So I think what is very likely to happen is Sakurai will just do one of his presentations. It will be different because he'll be filming it from home. But still do the kind of thing. You
gotta zoom in his crowd reactions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna miss. I loved seeing Sakurai. It was obvious he was just palling around with his friends or in the room, and you see him playing the room, laughing at them. It's
But the good news is, better chance we see Sakurai's cat.
You're right. So it's all worth it.
Yes. I think that's going to happen. I think the bummer as far as Smash is concerned is we just may not see what the next fighter is.
Yeah.
I think there was a decent chance before, or at least, they're planning this to show the second fighter.
Yeah. I can agree with that. That might get pushed back some. But they've probably been working on this ARMS one for a while, especially since they were working on Byleth back in November. Is what they pretty much said. I mean, that's when he said that he was recording that back in November.
Yeah.
When he said it.
And so I feel like what's going to happen is even if the ARMS character gets delayed, I think we might still do a video presentation when they actually show the fighter, but it will end with or start with, hey, this is going to come out later than we said, but here's the fighter and the basics of him.
Instead of having here's the video and he's out today.
Yeah, or out next week or wherever the hell. I think that's the way it's going to go.
One of those two, yeah. I wouldn't be as worried. But we also need to remember, just as far as Nintendo's thing in general here and this event being canceled, when we're talking about Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and even Cyberpunk, we're all talking about games that were almost done and they were all in the polishing territory now, and work that can probably be a lot, way easier be done from home. Once we get past that time and you have games that were in more heavy development that were planned for later in the year or early next year, that's when we're going to see a lot of those games get delayed or just not announced, Nintendo. Yeah. There's probably announcements in there that are we're just not going to announce this summer because we don't know now.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot more of that, not just from Sony was kind of fortunate that they had two huge games that were both coming out in this time that were already pretty much done. Nintendo, unfortunately for them, their big stuff was before and after. Their big stuff either just came out or it's further down the pipeline, so they're gonna get fucked up a lot more.
And after pretty much after this summer, after June probably, it's just going to be everything is delayed internally and we'll never know that it technically got delayed. We can assume it got delayed in
We're
some
just going to have a
form.
big drought of announcements or just little things here and there, but nothing.
At least for Nintendo, at least for games, I mean, it's not much. And it would nice to be more. They got Xenoblade in May at least.
Yeah,
at least with that's not getting delayed now. I feel good about that at least.
Yeah.
So
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 sold 3 million copies or something. It was something crazy. Or is that the right one? Which was the one that came out?
I don't know. It was quite 3 million. I know it was over 2 million though.
Okay. It was at least way more than I expected.
Yeah. So, Ian. Okay, speaking of Nintendo, we don't have to do this long. I just wanted to highlight it just kind of a little bit. speaking of Nintendo shadow dropping trailers, they just dropped the Mario Maker 2 trailer last week, and they had the final update, and it's a whole bunch of shit.
Woo!
All these power-ups, like a Super Mario Bros. 2 mushroom, which is just crazy. It's a lot like Link, where just what it does to Mario or allows him to do completely changes the way you have to make levels. It just added a whole bunch of power-ups. Added the Koopalings, which is awesome.
Much awesome.
And the most important thing, World Maker.
Hell yeah.
So that's the exciting thing. So yeah,
something people have been wanting since Mario Maker 1, and like that was definitely like the biggest disappointment of Mario Maker 2. Like there were so many cool things in Mario Maker 2, but they're like, what, I still can only make just one level at a time. And like, yeah, this unlocks so freaking much because you can make a full game, and you can make like levels that like scale in difficulty that get like bigger and bigger. You can have like a few levels in a boss fight and a few levels boss fight.
And what's nice this is, as far as when people were looking for individual levels, people were looking for like the crazy stuff, and you got to like go all in on one level. These you can have more simple levels that kind of just flow well. And
you can build up to the craziness, not that like we have to go balls to the wall because we only have a little bit of time.
Yeah. So I am busy right now trying to make a whole thing. I'm in the planning stage. I got a spreadsheet thing going on of what I kind of want in each world, and kind of like what power ups and style I want and all that kind of stuff. Kind of plan it. Probably gonna take me a long ass time, but I'm trying.
I mean, this might be the thing that make me buy it. We'll see. I'm at least like, because I'm interested in like messing around with the creation things, and now like the thought of like making like a whole string of levels and doing things like that. Definitely like it feels like a simple thing, but like that unlocks a lot. Like that unlocks the creativity a lot when you can do things like that. And this game is great. I probably should be playing. We all should have played it more. I'm sure whatever your playtime is, I'm sure is like way less than you ever thought it was going to be, and like I'm sure that's true for like most people. It's kind of sucks, but but this is very very good. What do you think about this being, though? They did say this is the last one. They did say it was the last Mario Maker 2 update.
So in a way, like I think this is fitting for a final thing because it's so big, and they added like the one thing people kind of really wanted at this point, and some power ups and stuff people wanted. So I think all in all, between the two major updates they did, they added enough stuff to where it's like, okay, if you just look at it like a list, like, oh, they supported it good. But I wish they kind of did the more piecemeal stuff like they did with Mario Maker 1, because that made it so much better, because it was like always in people, like people were kind of always
Mario
thinking
Maker
about
2, it just feels like the game died for 4 months straight, and then it was like, oh, here's a big thing, and then it's like completely silence for 4 more months. And also, I think it seems very clear that this game was going to have more support if it had sold better, because as we talked about before, when they first announced this game, they had room for more worlds.
Oh yeah,
but that never happened.
Yeah, but, for you who don't know, when you select the style or whatever, they had the 4 styles from the original Mario Maker. Then they say other styles, and it's just Super Mario 3D World. Yeah, where obviously there's supposed to be at least another one there. It might have been Super Mario Bros. 2, which would make sense because like 3D World, you got to change a whole lot of shit to make that work, as you can tell by the power up.
Yeah, I that would be what I would think too, and that's a bummer. This game definitely underperformed. I don't expect to have more Mario Makers, honestly.
Shame.
I really don't. Like, even if we have a Switch 2 or whatever the hell, maybe we get this game ported, but I kind of don't expect to see. I mean, there's not a whole lot more you can do with this. I mean, this game is pretty much your definitive Mario creation tool now. There's not a ton, at least not enough to do a sequel, I don't really think.
Probably not. It's not in the 2D style.
They'll make a Zelda Maker now or something, which sounds a lot harder to make, but we'll see.
Yep. And just a little tease for next week, what we're going to be talking about, or something we'll be talking about. Nintendo financial report is next Thursday.
Ooh, like those.
Yes.
Like when that happens.
Or whatever their meeting thing is, where we'll get all that fancy sales data. So we will obviously be talking about all that shit.
Nintendo gives the goods when it comes to sales.
Gives the goods. Okay. Time to move on to the next story. Let's see. Stadia Connect happened this week. It was not great. So to give you an idea of what was announced there, PUBG was announced there. That was their big closer. that it was coming. It was free, so that's nice, I guess.
Yeah, to be upfront, I did not see it, but Jeff did. So
yeah, they started with announcing EA was going to have some games on there, including Fallen Order coming this fall, and then Madden and FIFA coming this winter. Which okay, that's fine, whatever. Assuming it's the new ones. Then some smaller games that you probably never heard of, like Creta, which look pretty neat. It's kind of like a more higher graphic Minecraft type thing, and it looked pretty cool. Get Packed, which is another Overcooked style moving game. It's like the third one. Oh, by the way, moving out, I forgot it's on Game Pass. We need to play this
okay,
one.
let's go.
Wave Break, which is like Wave Racer, but not as cool, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I say.
And Ember, which is a firefighting game, which are always great.
Firefighting game.
Yeah, like you're a firefighter.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought like it's a fighting game, but based around fire, but it's a firefighting game. Yeah.
So these 4 games I just named were the big exclusives they were touting. Or some of the big ones they were touting, or it's like first of Stadia. It's like these games look neat and everything, but probably need a little more
shattering.
And then they also announced Octopath Traveler was shadowed up, which is neat, but it's like, okay, so you got these kind of smaller games, which nothing against those games, they look cool and all. And I mean, just these really old games, and even some of the ones they announced, like Fallen Order's not till the end of this year.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that people can play Madden and FIFA without buying a console is a big deal for for that, but it's kind of not doing a great for like smashing onto the scene with this console, not console, the service, but
and the whole presentation was weird. It's kind of like it was kind of like pitching it. Still, it's like you did this a year ago, kind of. It was 16 minutes, and they kind of did this and just kind of talked about like Stadia's doing all this and all that kind of stuff. Like we should know this. You should tell us what your games at this point.
We're just not really seeing the fruits of all this really yet. Yeah. I don't know. Stadia is very weird to talk about. Yeah.
I got the free Stadia Pro thing or whatever. I want to try it out, so hopefully impressions by next week. Let's go to the Jeff Hype Corner, darling.
Okay, I'll let you introduce Jeff Hype Corner, but I gotta get an actual water in the...
Okay. So these are just smaller news things that probably wouldn't make most podcasts. All right, well, it wouldn't make our podcast, but wouldn't make many other podcasts. But I just need to talk about this stuff and get hyped a little, Games I'm looking forward to, all that kind of stuff. The weird Jeff games. First, let's talk about some Nier Replicant version 1.2247448713 ellipses. Yoko Taro talked a little more about it in I believe a Famitsu article. It's talking about it is much more than a remaster, whatever in the world that means. Just call it a remake. And this is the big thing from this. Gameplay has been reworked to please Automata fans. Which is
those freaks.
Which is kind of big because even the people that love Nier, most can agree the combat is not good. Like that's kind of what I hear across the board. There are some that are like, oh no, why are they changing it? Like, why to the more automata-y? It's not going to be full on automata necessarily. We don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, it's sounding like way more of like we're actually like remaking this game, but like they're not really like. It sounds like they're trying to say it's not like a remake, but it's not a remaster, but it's not. It's like it's.
So I feel like Japan's one of those things where they're going to be in weird words because like. They're not going to say like Xenoblade is a remake, even though there's a lot of stuff they did with that or whatever. But I think they were like, we don't want the comparisons to like what Resident Evil 2 did.
Well, I was going to say, it's
or
like
Final Fantasy 7.
I was going to say, they call it, there's like, oh, it's a remake. And they're like, oh, like Final Fantasy 7 remake? Like, go down a little bit. There.
Oh, Resident Evil 2. Like,
Oh, so like Crash Bandicoot. You could be a little more than that. So, yeah.
Platinum Game Staff is helping for gameplay.
Type.
Yeah, that's nice. The guitar wants everything to feel new and polished. New characters are being added. I don't have it in this, but voice lines are being re-recorded. At least in Japanese, they're having the same voice actors. I don't know if that's going to be the case for English per se. So that's interesting. Possibly a new ending. So what that tells me is there's going to be a new ending.
So do you feel like this is something like this is a major project that like Platinum is putting a lot of resources into, and it's one of their big things coming out, or do you think this is closer to it is like a re-release of a game, but it's a few steps more than that? Like,
so I think Platinum is not doing much. They're kind of helping a little bit with some gameplay tweaks, but nothing like they're not going full on this like Automata.
Yeah.
Or Automata, or they would have said so in the very beginning.
Or this isn't even like, with this, do you think production-wise this is like Astral Chain levels?
I don't think so. I think if it was like it was a new game, they would have just kind of said so.
They would have been hyping it up a tad
more.
Bit
It's like,
more.
This is the remake, but I do think...
And like,
it's
Nier
more than
Automata 2 is still happening right now, right? Like that is where like
or
more
near
resources,
something.
or near something.
Oh, a new Nier is happening.
Yoko Taro is working on something else.
Automata sold way too much to not to look at a sequel. And doing this also makes perfect sense, like, because the original Nier stuck on the PS3. So, okay, let's change a couple things, especially with the ending stuff, because what I heard from people, unless you read a light novel, you don't get the full context of the ending.
Nice.
Because Japan.
That's always great.
Yeah. And as far as the possibly new ending, I think Nier might be like Automata, but on a much smaller scale where there are multiple endings, because in Automata there are 26.
Because Yoko Taro just got to do whatever the hell he wanted.
You just want one for every letter of the alphabet. Yeah. So I'm very excited for this game. Did Xenoblade. The part of the reason I'm bringing this up, because most people, even if they're excited for it, may not have heard about this, because it's just from the Japanese download card this information comes from, as most things do.
We digging deep.
Yeah. Future Connected, the added epilogue, will feature a completely new battle system. Whoa. That is crazy. A new map and help from new Nopons, which we knew based on the little bit they showed in the pictures and stuff.
Yeah. So is the battle system, I mean, so from what you've seen of like the main game of this remaster, re-release, whatever the hell, like all these terms mean nothing anymore. Is the battle system like pretty much identical to the original?
Yeah, I think the little tweaks, but it's pretty much about the same.
Okay. That's interesting. So I'm wondering is this going to be like a Blood and Wine-esque, like you get a second game at the end of this first game? Is it going to be like big of a thing?
Okay, so what I think this is like Xenoblade 2 to Torna, which is the DLC story thing expansion did, which is pretty much his own game.
That's
like we say
yeah.
We say there are 3 Xenoblade games, they're technically 4. That's a whole 30-hour game. It's like it's pretty much a prequel game to Xenoblade 2. Nice. I need to play that at some point, nice. For sure. Where I think it's like that, but they're just adding it to this game to more incentive to buy this game for people who have already played it before, where that had a different battle system too. There are similarities, of course, but I think when it says completely different battle system, or that just might be words of the people who translated it, just kind of adding a little stuff to it, is like the difference between Xenoblade games, where it has the same base to it, but the twists are a little different, just based on the way the game works or just whatever.
It's just interesting to have like this like. Again, they must be doing a lot more as far as like actually redesigning the areas and stuff, because if it was something closer to taking a base and slapping an extra coat of paint on it or something, then making a whole new thing at the end would be like a tall ask. But if it's like you are already practically remaking the game and then you do that or whatever, it also just seems like somehow Monolith Soft is just able to add so much meat to the bone that I don't have to do.
I'm going to say this until the day I die. Monolith Soft was a fantastic buy from Nintendo, just all the way around.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's it might be getting my hopes up too much, and I'll be fine with whatever, because I'm someone who hasn't finished the original game, so that enough is worth the price of admission to me. But I'm getting hyped more that Future Connected might be like a 20-30 hour experience, kind of like Torna. I don't think that's completely unreasonable.
It's already going to be like an 80-hour freaking RPG or something.
Let's go. So I'm very excited for this game. And even though I don't think I'm going to get done with it I'm going to say, I know I'm not going to get done with it before Last of Us. I'm going to assume I'm not.
Oh, no,
but I'm a crazy person.
This Jeff, Jeff's pretty intense. Jeff won't see the sun, but he'll this game beat.
I'm glad I'm going to be able to get a good bit of time with it before like Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima comes out. I'm hoping to get done with it before Ghost of Tsushima. Last of Us will probably take me no more than a week.
Yeah, I'll be the one to get spoiled on Last of Us because Jeff will be too busy playing Xenoblade on Neverland.
Go, baby. Let's get this anime stuff done. And so it was also hype as far as me. Fans Easy Allies. It looks like because of everything getting delayed now, Huber might be in. Let's go. And that'll be fun because
at least this is the origin point of all of Xenoblade, right? I mean, this is the place you start, right?
Yes.
Like if you're completely new, this is
because clearly the Allies love it. Brad played it, but he hated the way it looks, and I can't disagree with him at all.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. They all, but this one looks good.
Yeah. So a lot of Ally talk, especially now there's not really much around. Besides Shantae, of course.
Nice. I'll be interested to look over your shoulder and just see some cool shit.
Yeah. Okay, we got a couple release date things. We're not going to talk about these too long. Destroy All Humans, July 28th. Good enough time for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming out in a pretty good time of just like in general, like with COVID, honestly, just because so many other things are going to be pushed around.
So it's like new trailer for it. They didn't really show much because it's just so it's Destroy All Humans. Have fun with it. Yeah. And Deadly Premonition 2 coming July 10th.
I mean, I think Jacob is sitting there listening. Like, did Jeff just not? Jeff didn't even like change his inflection. He's just, and Deadly Premonition.
Yeah.
Like Jacob's like,
Jeff didn't
put some respect.
Jeff didn't lead with this story.
What? He had to go an hour and 20 minutes into this podcast before he got this.
Yeah.
No, that's hype. That's super hype.
No, yeah.
Obviously not for us, but it's hype for Jacob and for all the
other people. I didn't know if we got an exact window for it, so I'm glad it's one of those games where they said 2020, it's like mid 2020 nice.
Pretty soon,
because I mean this is going to get a special edition physical copy, so it's not going to get delayed because of the Last of Us reason. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's really cool because this is a sequel that obviously Deadly Premonition fans probably never in a million years expected, and not only are they getting it not that long after announcement because it was announced when was it announced? Pretty late last year, wasn't it?
Is that the September Direct?
Was it that long ago? I mean, that's still not that long. I mean,
it was during the Direct, and that was the last one last year.
It's still like less than a year,
Yeah. I think back of that announcement, it's just how weird that was.
It's like
you think you some build up.
It's legitimately Nintendo had zero clue what they had.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, Deadly Premonition, what is this? Sorry,
but
they had zero clue what they had.
But it's Swery, so what if he asked for that?
I don't know.
Who knows?
I think it's a lot more likely that just some Nintendo PR person is like putting together the thing. They're like, okay, whatever the fuck this game is.
He even thought it was a remaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's so nonchalantly. It's like, oh, this must just be a port, right?
Even though the name with the 2 was down there. It's funny.
So
okay, Sales Time Derby.
Woo!
Final Fantasy VII Remake. Kind of outdated, but we'll mention it anyway. Over 3.5 million shipped and sold digitally in the first 3 days. That's a lot.
That is a lot for 3 days. And that's only digital, even though it is COVID, so it's probably, more normal, but still.
Okay.
That's a lot. I'm sure it sold a lot more since then. I'm interested to see where it ends up on NPDs.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of NPDs, let's get into that. We're a week late on this, but let's do it. Some juicy stuff in here. Okay. This is apparently the most revenue spent on video games in March since 2008.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it's all because of freaking Animal Crossing.
Yep. Okay, number 1. To the surprise of no one but Barrett Courtney. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Animal Crossing New Horizons achieved the 3rd highest launch month physical dollars and unit sales of any Nintendo published game in tracked history. Only Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Super Smash Bros. Brawl sold more in the launch month. Launch month dollar sales of Animal Crossing New Horizons have exceeded the lifetime sales of all other Animal Crossing franchise games, making Animal Crossing New Horizons the best-selling game in franchise history. To put a little asterisk next to the end of that, but it's probably... unit-wise, probably already surpassed it already as we're talking right now. These go by dollar sales, and Animal Crossing is at least $20 more than. Well, yeah.
The DS ones, yeah.
Well,
I have to imagine they were.
Well, I remember like it used to be on console, but Animal Crossing was as popular then. So as far as the most popular one, which is New Leaf, that one was $40. This is $60.
Right.
So we'll leave it at that.
And it was on. There's so many 3DSs and stuff, but it's gonna beat it because this game is just a freaking juggernaut.
Now, let me just mention this while I'm at it. I screenshotted this just to add on to the insanity.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't there something? There was something being thrown around about Animal Crossing sales, like an all-time video game thing or something.
I haven't seen that. Oh, I just saw that posted today. Animal Crossing sold another 284,000 units last week in Japan, bringing its physical total to about 4 million. Physical.
Which Japan, 4 million altogether is like unheard of. Like that's insanity.
Yeah,
Japan's not a very big.
This is Stealth on Twitter, and he noted that it's probably like 6 million units altogether.
Like what percentage?
In Japan.
What percentage of the Japanese population is that?
Animal Crossing is a phenomenon there right now. It's insane. I mean, you think it's huge here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And whenever I boot up my Switch, no matter what time of day I boot it up, there's someone playing Animal Crossing, and I have like 8 friends on there playing Animal Crossing, and several of them are people who like do not play games at all. And I look at their play history, and they have like next to nothing on any of the other games they do. But then like even the most casual non-gamer I have in my friends group has at least 150 hours on it. You're the one that has the least by far with like 20. Everyone else, even like people who I never play games, are like hardcore in Animal Crossing. It's crazy. Holden's so hardcore into it, he won't play Final Fantasy VII with us.
What a fucking dork.
Apparently, he doesn't even like Final Fantasy VII anymore, and he might not play it anymore. It makes me sad.
What a loser.
I know.
Number 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Marcel, the Call of Duty franchise titles reached a new all-time high for a March month, exceeding the previous peak set in March 2010. Okay.
March is just on fire, apparently.
Number 3, MLB The Show 20. MLB The Show 20 is the fastest selling game in the MLB The Show franchise history, with more launch month sales exceeding those of MLB The Show 19. Breaking records, MLB The Show. Congrats. Yeah. Number 4, Resident Evil 3. Pretty good. Yeah.
It is interesting that, like, you know, because I think like the last few months that we've talked about like video game spending being down compared to the last few years. I definitely know we talked about that in like January and February, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%. It definitely spiked this last month.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it spiked without a ton of new releases. Like there's you know Animal Crossing and Resident Evil 3 and stuff, but like that doesn't exactly account for like Call of Duty selling the most it ever have. I legitimately think a lot of it has to do with COVID. I think
100%.
That's like gaming as a hobby is like spiking up because of that, and it's very crazy.
100%. I'm curious to see exact numbers once we go a little farther for Resident Evil 3 and how it compares to the other recent games.
Hopefully that just means Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to sell even more than it originally would have.
Probably.
Go crazy.
It depends how many people heard about that ending. Number 5, NBA 2K20. Number 6, Doom Eternal. Not bad.
Yeah, only really getting beat by the sports games, Call of Duty, and Tom Nook. That's not bad.
And Nemesis, of course.
And Nemesis.
Can't beat Nemesis. No. Number 7, Persona 5 Royal. How about that?
Also very good for.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised. I don't know what I expected. I didn't expect to be in the top 10.
Yeah. It beat GTA 5, which
beat GTA 5 at number 8.
This game in 2013.
Number 9, Borderlands 3. Number 10, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe could be the new Grand Theft Auto 5, or it's going to be there. They're both going to be attached to it forever. Number 11, Neo 2. I want to know numbers. Like, I don't think that's bad necessarily. For
I don't think so for Neo 2. I mean, I think Neo is still kind of a niche thing, even though like it's more on the popular side of niche, but I'd still definitely say it's niche. And there was, I think there was definitely a chance that Neo 2 kind of just comes and gets drowned out. But I saw a lot more people than I thought talking about Neo 2. And
I was kind of worried that it was going to get absolutely bombed going into
especially with how good this month seems to be, like high up with sales. I think 11 in this month is probably pretty good.
I mean, especially since, in my opinion, the fact that it's the 1, 2, 3, like the 6th highest new game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's some heavy hitters in those
Yeah.
new games, so yeah.
Yep. Then the other two games I'm going to name that was in these are new releases. Number 15, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. I don't think that's bad for this game.
Yeah.
Just because it's obviously a lower budget spin-off of a Pokemon.
That I have not seen a single soul talk about. You are the only person that I've seen talk about this game.
Yeah, I didn't even get it.
Yeah, you didn't even get it. But even like
I tried the demo. I was like, I'm paying $60 for this.
Yeah.
But had a good time, but not worth it. Number 20, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. I believe this was like a $30 release.
And it was only on PlayStation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, missing games. Because normally I forget about these because they're missing and I forget things. But I was reminded. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, not on here.
Reminded because it's a fantastic game.
Yes. But something we also didn't mention is probably part of the reason it's not on here. It's because Game Pass has exceeded 10 million subscribers.
Yeah.
So that's... Yeah.
So Game Pass is going to make us talking about sales, which was one of our favorite things to do on this podcast.
At least Microsoft sales.
A lot harder as things go forward because like we honestly don't know. Did Ori bomb or did a lot of people play it? It was just mostly on Game Pass like me and you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Game Pass being a big enough thing to where for games like Ori, which aren't the biggest things, like if Halo doesn't make this list when that comes out, then we will probably be like, okay. Yeah. But even then, we can't take we can't take any Microsoft game placements at face value.
I mean, because
unless it's like number one in the strong, I'm like, oh my god.
Even with Game, but like Game Pass is just such a good value, and it's not like it's a good value that's being unnoticed as we now see. Like we see the 10 million people or whatever. And I mean, whenever we booted up Game Pass, every time I booted up Game Pass to play Ori, it took me to the front page. Ori was always like boom right there in the like big block in the front. I could say, I mean, but that's the problem with this is it's all speculation. It's all just like,
but
we love the game, so surely a bunch of people on Game Pass played it. Not necessarily, Who knows,
well, here's kind of the good thing as far as things like for Ori and stuff, and Microsoft said stuff. These game and developers have said it. Like, I believe someone from the Gear Tactics team said they don't need these games to do as well. They can do more weirder things. Like, part of the reason these games exist is to sell Game Pass, or that is a big motivator for these things. Why Microsoft like, okay, you do this stuff because it like having a game like Ori and Gears Tactics and two more out there genres that aren't necessarily like for the big thing, not always the biggest genres per se. I mean, obviously Nintendo has the platformers and
there are lots of Metroidvanias out there, but they're mostly indies.
Mostly indies and stuff. But it just makes when there is well received at those two games, and from I've seen Gear Tactics being really well received as well, like it just makes that platform look better. It's like, they have a big Metroidvania game, which a lot of people consider one of the best, and is really good.
It builds the volume and variety.
Yeah, so and for Gear Tactics, it's like it builds gets people into that genre, like Gears fans of that genre, and builds awareness for Tactics fans who want to try out a Gears game. Maybe get into the Gears franchise.
It builds the whole narrative that I think is very true, that if you are, especially if you're kind of a slightly more casual gamer, you could just get Game Pass and nothing else and be pretty satisfied because you're going to have something good of like every genre. And the longer time goes, the more that's going to become true.
Especially since it seems, we talked about it. We've talked this a lot over the years, and it's true. Microsoft's output this gen has been pretty weak.
Oh, very weak. Yeah.
But it looks like they're making the right steps, and just if you're looking at the games they're potentially releasing this year, it's the strongest year like Microsoft's had in years.
Yeah, and I mean it's a good one too. Like they were very bad with exclusives and first party titles this gen. They're fixing that, but we're not going to see the fruits of that fix for until next year at the earliest for most of these things, like Hellblade, all these other things. But Game Pass is such the perfect ramp to those first party titles coming out, because like by the time Halo comes out, where what is there gonna be 15 million subscribers to the Game Pass? It's like it's gonna get more and more.
That probably should go up, because I've seen people. I mean, this is very anecdotal, of course, but seeing like stuff on Reddit and Twitter and stuff, people are talking about getting the Xbox potentially as their main console, or getting it first for people who get it might get multiple consoles, partly because of Game Pass. Like, this is too good of a deal to pass up.
Yeah. And by the time we start getting those boom, boom, boom first party Xbox things, you like Game Pass is going to be built up to this thing that's just like close to ubiquitous. Everyone's like, yeah, of course I have a Game Pass. Why not? I'm not an idiot,
Yeah.
And then that's when you get to. It's going to be a very different landscape because Sony is playing a different game. They're playing it well, but they're playing it's a very different game with this premium exclusive content or whatever. But if Microsoft has this big thing where it's like, yeah, by the time Halo comes out, Halo is going to sell Game Pass.
So I just had a thought. I wonder if this could potentially happen, or they would try to limit this in some way. What do you think the odds are that Microsoft will do for like maybe day one Xbox Series X ones come with like a free month or 3 of Game Pass? So it's like, buy your new console, you get to play Halo extra charge.
No,
that would.
I think,
then you get people locked in. Probably
there is no way Game Pass is not like one of the signature things that they're.
The only thing I question about that if they would do it for like every one or special
it's
things.
It's going to be interesting to see if those two things can merge together in a profit way, where because Sony is making very, very big budget games, but they're also charging $60 for each of them and making that money back and everything. It's going to be interesting to see if Microsoft can toe the line between having Game Pass that's almost too good of a deal, but then also making big budget games. Like for Fable to be what Fable needs to be to stand out in the modern gaming industry, it needs to have a budget. It needs to have a Horizon, it needs to have like a Sony exclusive level of budget. And obviously Halo is getting that budget and everything. Yes. But can they keep that up for years? Can they make games that rival Sony's as far as like budget and everything like that, but still just have it on Game Pass and,
I think what might happen until maybe at least for the foreseeable future is there will be games like Halo and hopefully Fable where they do have that big budget, maybe even Hellblade as well for that in there, where they are the really big budget, but then they'll also kind of litter it out with like Bleeding Edge and stuff, and even like Psychonauts, those kind of things, just kind of to build up their brand. They're not going to be focused much of selling like millions upon millions of AAA games necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, because, Sony, by and large, doesn't do the smaller thing. The Concrete Genie was a very rare exception.
Well, yeah, at least not
very
as much
rare
anymore.
Exception, yeah. And, I mean, I guess kind of Dreams, but, I mean, I think a lot of money went to Dreams. Maybe they didn't want it to, but I think over time it did. But, it's interesting because Microsoft kind of has a foot in both. They're making the smaller titles like that, but it at least seems like they have aspirations. They have big AAA aspirations. So yeah, I mean, maybe they meet in the middle. They definitely will lean on third parties harder than Sony does, but and I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see if they can play both sides, if they can play that game, toe that line in a way that Sony's business model is just way simpler. Of we make big game, we charge big money for it, whereas Xbox is like, all right, we're trying to build this whole group of people, but at some point, can you turn that group of big people into profit, or do you just now have a bunch of people? It's and we might just see that Xbox doesn't have as many big games as Sony, and that is just the reality. But they have all of the third parties that you get at Sony at such a cheaper price point that you don't care quite as much.
Yeah.
And people like me who I will not have an Xbox, but I'm going to be using Xbox Game Pass, I have to imagine quite a lot in the future.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm not getting an Xbox Series X, but yeah, I mean, we're both going to keep keeping Game Pass as long as we can the way they're doing it.
Yeah, at least for the moment.
I mean, and it's just great to play new games because a game we would never have bought, I would safely say, Streets of Rage 4, but we're very interested in giving that a try.
Yeah.
Especially after those reviews. I'm excited to give that a try.
And that just keeps happening, going forward. I'm even looking, I was looking through Game Pass, so I saw Indivisible, something that I saw
oh wait, is that on there?
Yeah, I was looking through yesterday. Yeah, and I was like, that's a perfect game where it's I heard very mixed reviews, and mixed reviews for this game that I already didn't know a lot about would probably just lead me to never try it. But I was looking, I was like, fuck it, I might try it. I love the art style in this game. I'll give it a shot. Like, maybe I might love that game. There's a lot of games that people like are mixed on that I end up loving, and I was like, yeah, I'll try that. You know, there's a lot of things like that. Yeah, I don't know if that was a new one or not, but I was like scrolling.
Oh, now I remember. Like, it was that a little while ago. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember other games they added, like, you know, Skateboard's going to be on there. I can't remember what the name of that. You remember that game I talked about at E3 when they showed the demo where, you know, you can kind of switch going back and forward in like the past and future and present and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that game. I remember now. I just remembered for some reason I think that's gonna be on Game Pass day one. I'm excited for that one.
And like Spiritfarer.
Yes. Yeah. So
lots of things.
Yeah. Tell me why. Tell me why. I'm excited for that one. I hope that one doesn't get delayed out of the summer.
We need to play Life is Strange too because we're a bunch of scrubs.
We do. Okay. The other missing game on here, I'm just because this was a big game, I put it on here. It's not a surprise. Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, not a surprise at all.
I don't even know if Valve does towards this. Like, if Valve keeps their games separate or not, because they don't make games. I don't know.
And I
don't think it'd make it anyway.
I was about to say, even if it was including this, nowhere near enough people own the index or like a high enough.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on to the top 10 of the year so far.
Let's just breeze through the top 10. And
Call of Duty Modern Warfare, 2 Animal Crossing, New Horizons. I expect it to maybe overtake Call of Duty anytime now, maybe. I don't know. Might be wrong. 3 Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. 4 NBA 2K20, MLB The Show number 5, 6 Grand Theft Auto 5, 7 Resident Evil 3, 8 Madden NFL 20, 8 Mario Kart, or 9 Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 10 Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. No really surprise there. Kakarot's gonna do what a lot of like fighters and Jump Force did before it, kind of linger around for like a month or two and then free fall. Hey, Kingdom Hearts stunk around.
It did not free fall.
Now let's talk about hardware because these numbers are huge. Just real quick. Hardware spending in March 2020 grew 63% when compared to a year ago to $461 million. Nintendo Switch. I got NBA on the mind. I don't know why. Nintendo Switch hardware sales more than doubled when compared to a year ago. More than doubled, Darby. While PS4 and Xbox One each grew by more than 25%. Nintendo Switch set a new all-time record for hardware unit sales in a March month, besting the previous high set by Nintendo Switch in its March 2017 launch month. Nintendo Switch generated the highest first quarter unit sales for any hardware platform since the Nintendo DS in the first quarter of 2010.
Can't stop.
It's safe to say COVID-19 did influence game things in general. It helped Switch. And the crazy thing is, it sounds like there were shortages, so it would have done better.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason there were shortages is because I think a lot of people were at home and they're like, well, time to get this.
I'm so excited to see those Animal Crossing exact numbers. I mean, it'll just be for March. I'm so excited to see those next week.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty absolutely.
And the thing is going to suck. It's like we're getting them, there'll still be another month of sales.
Yeah,
that we won't see for that game. I'm curious about the Switch lifetime sales, how much those have jumped. So, Dari, what do you want to do with all this? Do you want to make it a separate video again?
We can't win with this Final Fantasy VII stuff because you know that I'll just go off. You know we can make a whole podcast off of everything just in this Ultimania thing. I don't know.
You just want to do it? Because we got a good podcast right here, I think.
All right. I think we can call it right there. We will talk about the Final Fantasy VII Ultimania. At some point, we're just going to have a separate podcast about crazy crackpot conspiracy theories in Final Fantasy VII. We're excited to announce, we're going to have a whole separate RSS feed for Jeff. Eric said something crazy. I was replaying Chapter 8 for the seventh time.
You just don't understand the context, so you play it 7 times.
Jeff, I've reached level 7.
I didn't know this existed.
All right, we will talk about that soon. We might talk about it right now, and it might be a different video. We'll do something. But thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you go check out that Final Fantasy VII Spoilercast. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII. And until next time, boddly boop.
Boddly boop.
Beedly bop.
Beep boop bop.